hopefully you guys learned something good today. In the future, I'm working on trainings and giving information, free training, how to be a successful branch manager, because a lot of people, being a branch manager is not just like that. So how to be a successful branch manager, growth, I've been branch manager for so many years. And it's not for everybody. It could be for everybody, but it's not for everybody. And then I want to share some information about that. And also senior loan officers. I want a little bit of training for senior loan officers, how to, somebody that has been in business for a few years already, 5, 6, 17 years, and still producing 1, 2, 3, and cannot break through that number. And then those trainings are going to be for you. And more is going to be based more like structuring yourself. It's more for yourself, not loans, because if you've been doing loans for a while already, you've been in business like 5, 6, 7, 10 years, you know how to do loans. It's more about yourself, mainly that. So we're going to be working on trainings for that. Because senior loan officer, some of you guys may be ready to take the role, for branch manager role. Yeah, we gotta share. We gotta share information, and So what I do is that when you pass the exam, you're already a loan officer. That's when I come into play. That's what I do. So I teach you from A to Z, from prospecting to marketing to you name it. Anything that is related to mortgages, to sales. Actually, to sales. So so let me start. I want to ask some questions. I see some faces that you guys been here for a while already. Most of the trainings, I see some faces that. So if you can share your weaknesses, somebody that has been doing loans for more than 2 years here. Anybody that has been doing loans for more than 2 years? 3, okay. So our business is so simple. It's us that we make it complicated. Doing loans is so easy. It's so simple. You just gotta know what is required in order for you to grow. Because it's the same things over and over that we repeat the same things over and over. They're similar. They're not the same, but they're similar to other scenarios, to other files. So our business is so easy, so simple. We are the complicated ones. And that's when I come into play and says, you know what? I don't tell you you're so complicated, but I tell you, you know what? This is what you need to do. This is what is required. Your company or whoever from you, your family, because that's if this is all you do, and this is what is required. So the most important thing, and I always say it, if you don't know how to calculate income, you are not a loan officer. You have the license. It's anybody can get a license, but you cannot issue pre-approval letters. You cannot do pre-approvals. You cannot do prequels. Until you get that part down, then that's when you can say, yes, I am a loan officer. When you can sit in front of someone and can do the full pre-qualification right there in front of their face, that's when you can say, you know what, I'm a loan officer. If you have somebody assisting you, then you still need help. You gotta learn how to do it yourself without nobody's assistance, and focus on income, calculating income. Calculating income. You don't know how crucial that is. You may be the best marketer. What do you do with the people? If you're really good, if you're one of those that you're really good at getting business, but what do you do with it? I mean, you can have somebody help you, but you gotta split. You gotta have a lower split with your company or whoever or whatever, however you do business, or it's so. Until you know that part and you understand it, that's when you're gonna start growing. Confidence is gonna grow. Like it's insanely, it's crazy the way you're gonna start thinking. I know some people that are really good at getting clients, very good at getting clients. But when it comes to doing prequels, then not a good thing. Last week I focused a lot on prequels. Today, I want to do it a little openly, a little bit of everything, a little bit of marketing, and then because this is the third or the seventh class, I believe, so I already covered a lot of things. You gotta learn how to average. When do you have to average income? When you gotta do this, when you gotta do that. You gotta learn. One of my students, and that she joined. She came from another company. I think she's somewhere here in the training, and she was so excited because she did a prequel, and says, what? And she's been licensed for a while. And says, what? I didn't even know how to do this, and now she did it. She took only like 2 trainings. And then she was able to, she was able to understand. It's different. Knowing, understanding, 2 different things. She was able to understand the income and what needed to be averaged. And then the year to date, the client said, I'm full-time, but it didn't make sense with the year to date. It's almost the end of the year. So just by doing that, you gotta understand those parts. When you understand that itself is gonna boost your confidence. That itself, it's gonna take your mind to another level. And you know what? And you can say, I already made it in this business. Because then if you know that, and then you know how to market, and then if you don't know how to market, I can teach you the basics of the basic, because everything that we do in a daily basis are basic things. We close loans using the basic income and assets, credit, all loans. Go back to your pipeline, go back to your, and see that everything is done the same way, forever. So once we understand that part, that's the only way to grow to the next level. And then you focus on that, you really truly focus on that, and then marketing. I think marketing will be, I'm going to say marketing will be second, because what do you do with a client if you get a client? Of course, if you have somebody that, can help you, then immediately, but some cases there isn't. Or sometimes there is somebody that can help you but doesn't know much. If the person that is helping you has a track record of losing clients, and not only losing clients, but canceling transactions, and then people losing their EMD, their escrow deposit, and it's it's not, you gotta see who's your mentor, who's mentoring you, who's helping you grow your business. So very, very important for you to learn that. You gotta know when the income is, only because somebody told you that they have fixed income, unless, well, it has to come from the employer. The employer has to verify it. But only because somebody tells you, or maybe because a pay stub is showing, the 40 hour, doesn't mean that the client is full-time. He possibly worked more hours. So you gotta average the income to see if it really makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then it can get complicated. When it goes to underwriting, you submit your file 40 hours a week as a full-time borrower, and then it comes back and says, you know what, we have to average the income because it doesn't make sense. Your year-to-date as full-time, your year-to-date should be, $90,000. And what you show me in your pay stub, most recent pay stub, is only $30,000. And your client has been at the same job for 10 years. So you gotta understand those little things, those little big things. Because if if you don't have a valid explanation, then you don't have a deal. Because remember, the loans, they gotta be sellable. It's not just about opening a loan. You gotta understand income. You have to understand. Overtime, bonus, when you gotta, and not only that, your company, you gotta see how they operate. You gotta see their overlays. Because that you can only qualify a client with 2-month overtime, but some mortgage companies, you gotta have the full 2 years. So you gotta talk to you gotta see if they have any overlays. So overlays are big in our industry. So see if your company have any overlays, so you can finish a prequal successfully. So once you get that part, you're gonna feel me, especially when it comes out of underwriting. And because it's never gonna be the same number exactly, unless it's salary. Because if your average income, sometimes they work one more hour, sometimes 1 hour less, and then so the income is not going to be as you submit it. Is going to be the same, but it has to be very close. One of my students, he feels so confident. He calculates the income like really good, any type of income, and he submits his files like DTI 56%. So, and then if you're gonna do that, you gotta feel confident. You gotta understand. Anytime you're gonna issue a pre-approval letter and your DTI is 56.999, it's either if it's a salary employee, then you're okay, because it doesn't change. It's always on the dot. Making $5,000 every 2 weeks, making $10,000 a month, and then it's pretty standard. There is no science so simple, and it's always consistent because it's salary. Then The pre-approval, I mean, you can max it out. Actually, yeah, you can. I always max them out. 56.99 or whatever max, whatever overlay with your company, and then you can do that. But if you're averaging the income, it shouldn't be, because it's gonna vary. If your client happens to work a few hours less, and then processor orders the VOE, the verification of employment, when it gets back, it's either going to be a little more income or maybe a little less. So that's why the numbers change a little bit. And it happens most of the time. If I have somebody here that's been in business for a while, go back to your files and then it doesn't come to the dot. It doesn't. And if you say yes, I don't think you're telling the truth, because it doesn't. So focus on that, practice, go back to your files, start do them again, and then just keep practicing, and then it does. If you practice, you do get better. You do get better. I had somebody about a month and a half that sent me a pay stub, if I can help, and I just gave him the idea how to do it, and I believe with that he should have learned. So you gotta understand. Very important. You gotta ask question to you can in this business. Assuming doesn't work. I assume that whatever I assume that my client is this and that. No, assume it has to. You gotta ask the client, and the client has to actually give you the information. Oh, I assume because I assume is full-time. Gotta ask, are you full-time? Okay, and then what I want to learn, how to calculate income with an example. Okay. So let's do. We're gonna do an example. We're gonna calculate something. But basically, just the way I'm telling you, that's how it is. So you always gotta break it down. If you have a client, just listen to this very carefully. If you receive a pay stub, you have a client, and you see that the client has regular income, overtime income, bonus, you cannot combine everything and average everything all together. Everything is individual. The regular is one calculation, the bonus is another calculation, the overtime is another calculation, and whatever other is other, different calculations. You got to break it down. Your system, if you use Calyx Point and Compass, when you open the income tabs, the income, and you see that it's broken down overtime, it has all these different type of incomes that you can punch, that you can put in there. They're already telling you to break it down. They're already telling you to break it down. And you gotta see when the income is declining. You cannot average all the income if an income is declining. If 2021 is higher than 2022, then you give them the worst case, which is year to date, which is the lowest from all. You gotta understand, it cannot be just average. You know what? I see that I need 2 years of income, and then you have 150,000 in 2021, and then you have 100,000 in 2022. Since I need 2 years of income, I gotta average. No, wrong. You cannot average it like that. It has to be only 1 year, the worst, the less. Because you're giving them $50,000 more, and then when it gets to underwrite it, they're gonna remove that. It's gonna be removed, and then you're gonna be in big trouble. Then you may not have a deal, and if you're doing an FHA loan, and your housing DTI, it's a 46.999, you're in trouble. So you gotta understand it. Understands income a little bit. Let me start picking people here. Janine, I see your camera is on. How do you feel about calculating income? Do you? I cannot hear you. Let me see. Let me turn. I have no volume. Give me 2 seconds. Let me see. There's no volume. Okay, let me. Okay. So sorry, I couldn't hear you, Janine. And let me see. And then Annie. Annie. Hi, Annie. I can see you. So
yes,
hi. So Annie is one of my students. So Annie, are you understanding income a little more?
Yes, if a client has the income 2020, let's say 21 is more than 2020, then we can average both years. But if 2020 less, then we only use 1 year.
It's when the income is declining, that's when you cannot average. When it's declining.
Yes.
So
yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
So that's yeah, and you're learning a lot. You're learning a lot. And Lena Salazar. So how do you feel? How do you understand income?
I don't think it's hard. I just need to practice. I feel good with the.
That's it.
Yeah, I need to practice more because then I forget. But yeah. I like the math. I've always liked this, so it's easy to learn. You just gotta practice because you forget.
Yes, yes, you gotta practice a lot. And then if you don't know, we gotta learn to do our pre-calls like pretty fast. And you can only do that by practicing.
Correct.
Yeah, it cannot take you to calculate income. It cannot take you 2 hours because income is so simple to calculate, guys. I'm not saying because it is simple. I got a lot of my students like the second training and they go, oh, so that's how it is. Oh shoot, so that's how it is. And then they're doing it themselves, Norma, I seen you the previous. So how are you doing with your income calculation? Your mic is off. Okay, there you go. Yes, now I can hear you pretty well.
Okay, it gets difficult when I'm dealing with 99s and that income keeps moving around. Salaried is great. I have one now that's full-time, but it's not enough. I think so we got to pull in the son. Yeah, but it's pretty much, easy.
Yeah, It's it is salary and Schedule C. They're similar about the same. They are not really a big deal, but because it's that you either divide it by 12, average it by 12, or if you're using 2 years, then 24. When it comes to breaking down the overtime, and then now you gotta do other things, that when it gets a little bit complicated. But once you get the concept of when the income, when you cannot use some type of income, when it hits, that's when you're on the other side. That's when you're on the other side. So and how are you guys doing on marketing? What are you currently doing for marketing? What are you guys currently in the way that I build my business is with real estate agents. That's always been my main source of business. And then, but how do you get your business? Because sometimes you gotta find your way in order to grow quick. You gotta find what you really are good at. Some people are really good at making a lot of calls. They're not afraid of making 300 calls in one day. Cold calling. So you gotta see what your gift, what you're really good at, and then just go at it. Just really go at it. I love face-to-face. I love face-to-face. It's what it's how I do it. It's how I do it. And if you guys need any tips, let me know. Let me see, Ava. Marketing wise, what do you do to get your business?
Well, here's what I've done so far.
Please.
Absolutely nothing. And someone told me to not be a secret agent. I have to market. So I'm learning how to create the Facebook pages and the YouTube videos and just do it and find out what happens. So far I've been terrified to do it, but I said for 2023 I am going to make that a point to do it, because I can't, if I know how to calculate income, it does me no good if I don't have anyone to calculate it for. So I have to let people know that I'm out there. I'm used to being back office support. I'm real good at helping to make you money, but me stepping out myself, I'm a little shy with that.
Okay.
So that's where I am.
Okay. So you need so your confidence a little bit low. So you need to practice, the basics. How are you doing with calculating income? Doing pre-quals?
I believe I can calculate income. I've helped my broker to, put out the pre-approval letters. I try not to use overtime, because if they don't have the overtime for 2 years, it's not going to do any good. So I just try to qualify them without the overtime.
Okay, so you need help with that, because you can use overtime all the time, all day long. Yes, you can. So all that is income. You just gotta understand it and ask questions.
Okay.
Ask questions to your clients, and says, tell them, I'm gonna be using overtime because I see that you need it. If I don't give it to you, without the overtime, I can only give you a loan of 250,000. But if I add it, I can squeeze another 100,000. Is it consistent? Is it gonna continue? Is it gonna continue?
Okay.
And you gotta ask the questions, and you gotta learn how to average it.
Okay.
That is really good income. I mean, and underwriters, lenders, they cannot, they gotta use it. It's within the selling guidelines.
Okay.
If they're telling you that they cannot use it, which they always use it. No, I haven't seen nobody that, I mean, everybody gives you that income. The file goes through under. If they don't give it to you, it's because, you know, maybe they just give you a little bit because you didn't calculate it good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
So you got to build your confidence on that. You got to practice on that. You got to understand. Yes. You got to get it. Yeah. Because otherwise, you know, that client that qualifies for only $250, and then what's going to happen, that they're going to go shop you. And another lender is going to give him that $350, which you could have done it in the first place.
Okay.
And then you lost a client.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So, and just, we got to understand when the income is declining. And that is a huge, very, you know, a big part. Ask questions to your clients. What this means, because sometimes pay stubs show they're kind of funny. And they have some names that their employers use to give them additional income. They say, you know what this means? What is it? Is this gonna continue for the next, it's gonna continue? And then and don't assuming it's not a good thing. Oh, you know what? I'm assuming that this is I'm gonna just give it to the client. Gotta ask the questions, because if anything goes wrong, you're the blame.
Yes.
Yeah. And the client is right. Because they don't know. They just don't. So gotta understand. You gotta understand. Okay, I have a question here. How soon do you order appraisal and title? See, you gotta feel. See, that's why I'm saying in this. I'm going back to Ava's question about overtime. See, repayment of a loan income is a big, huge part in that transaction. If you become beast, like really good at calculating income, you can do everything in the beginning. You don't have to wait for anybody. I mean, you gotta give all the information to your clients. It says, you know what? And okay, so you qualify for $600,000, and here's a pre-approval letter. This is the process. As soon as you get your offer accepted, and you sign the intent to proceed, we order the appraisal immediately. You gotta have the credit card in file, like right there in the beginning. You send that credit card authorization with the file to your processing team, whoever does your processing. They cannot be calling you, hey, Ava, can you send me can you email me or give me the credit card? Who's gonna be? No, everything has to be, and it has to be done immediately. Because when it comes to appraisal, there are appraisal contingencies. So when do we have to order the appraisal? Now. Immediately. Oh, I want to wait until the loan is approved, and then what about if you're working with a lender that they are like this and they give you the approval? Like, see, an approval, just a quick approval doesn't mean anything if they haven't reviewed your VOEs. Let me repeat myself again. Loan approval, underwriting approval doesn't mean anything if they haven't reviewed your verification of employment. So, and there are ways for you to get it done immediately. You gotta order the appraisal immediately. You gotta remove your loan contingencies immediately. not when everything, not when everybody, when you have the loan supposedly approved. What about if it takes you to order that VOE? What about if it takes you 2 weeks? Some employers you have issues. You gotta get everybody involved. We gotta send the borrower to the employer to talk to them, to stand in front of HR so they can take care of it. Sometimes you have problems, but there are ways of doing it so you don't have to wait. And to answer your question, is that immediately, Miguel. To answer your question, Miguel, it's immediately. It's as soon as the intent to proceed is signed by your borrower, right there and then. And if you're paying for the appraisal, then you don't have to wait. It could be like immediately. And for everything. And it all comes down to income. Right? So, practice, master it. It takes me, because I practice a lot, it takes me, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to do my in some of my students, it takes them like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. One of my students said, I finished everything in 15 minutes. Told me, like, all right, like, really? And the loan closed. The DTI, he averaged the income, it was like so, almost the same, almost to that. Not it's never the same, but it was like right there. With the tips that I'm giving you, go crazy, go out there, talk to everybody and anybody. Get those pay stubs. Calculate that income. And in practice of doing it quick. You cannot tell someone that you're gonna get back to them in 2-3 days. It's bad. It's bad customer service. Bad customer service. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you in a day or two. And then once, if the client provide all documents that are required for your prequel to issue a pre-approval, then it shouldn't take you more than a day. But if they are missing something, you gotta let everybody know. Because remember, the eyes are on you. So you gotta let everybody know. Your referral partners, let them know. Tell them, you know what? This is what I need. Send an email, copy them, because they gotta see what's going on. And says, until I gotta have all these items. Once I have all these items, then I issue the pre-approval letter. If I'm missing something, then I'm not going to issue it. If it takes a client 3 weeks to finish up giving you your need list, then you issue the pre-approval in 3 weeks. But if they give you everything in the same day, it should go out the same day. And that's the conversation you gotta have with your real estate partners. If you haven't had a conversation with them like this, what I'm telling you, you gotta start from scratch. Set up a meeting, take them out to lunch, set up a meeting and tell you know what, this is how it is. Start from scratch because they have a bad impression of you. And you may not be doing anything wrong, but they may think that you're doing something wrong. And that's why you don't get a lot of business from them. You know what? My loan, it takes them about a week to give me the pre-approval letter, but I noticed that Joe gives it to me the same day. I want to go show property like this. Let me go ahead and give it to Joe. Because Joe tells him, you know what? As soon as I have all the documents, everything that is required, then I give you the pre-approval letter. It took him 3 weeks to get it. On the third week, he says you send an email and tell them I have everything on hand that is required. You'll have it in a couple of hours. It should be quick because you're ready. It should be quick. It should be fast. And then you tell them, did you see? I do it in a day. It was a little over 2 weeks, but you let him know that it took a day. But if you don't have that conversation with them, they're gonna go, oh shoot, it takes them 3 weeks. It takes them a month. And there are things that you don't have control of. You're not going to go to the clients. I don't know, their homes, go through their drawers and then just to help them find. No. So this is how it's done. Hopefully you wrote that down because that's really hot information. This information itself is confidence, not for you, but your referral partner. It says, I have somebody in my team that is quick. Now you have that communication. Now you know what to say. It took you 6 weeks. On the 6th week, they give you the last pay stub or the year-to-date pay stub or the pay stubs. 6th week. As soon as you got them, it says, hey, everybody, I got them. You'll have it within the next 2 hours, 3 hours. I got them. Now your real estate agent says, you know what? Man, this guy is so quick. He gave me the pre-approval in 2 hours. They're not going to see that 5 weeks. They're going to see that 2 hours or the day. It's how you communicate. So, Elizabeth, you have a question. Please turn on your mic, Elizabeth.
I have another question ready.
Let me see. Okay, so how are we supposed to order appraisal if we don't have an address? You gotta have an address. You cannot order an appraisal without an address. And if you're doing a purchase, you need more communication with your real estate agent to, that the purchase agreement is going to have, the address is going to have everything you need to order the appraisal. You cannot order an appraisal without an address. You got to have it. So and that is with anything. It's refinance or purchase. They're loans. They are loans. So it's about the same thing. So you do need to you do need to have an address. Okay, so
Elizabeth is online.
Elizabeth, please ask your question.
So hi everyone. I have a quick income question.
Please.
I know that you just stated that when we're calculating income and we have individuals processing or borrowers giving us documents right away and telling us that we should go ahead and calculate income right away and give them an answer right away. How can I move forward? Because I right now work with a company that unfortunately they calculate income their way. And so what I have to do is that I have to structure it very simple in the system with like no DPA program, no tax proration, etc. So it makes my job a lot harder because I have to submit everything to underwriter, and their question is, let the borrower know that we'll get back to them in 2 to 3 days. Even like business income, I cannot calculate it. Although I did work for a broker company before and I used to do it all right away and used to give them answers in 1 day, now it's making my heart so challenging and hard because there's things that like they have a calculating income spreadsheet that I cannot even use because I technically have to submit all the pay stubs, all documentation before I can even get an approval from underwriting for the initial pre-approval letter. How can I move forward with giving a great customer service to all my borrowers, but having them to wait 2 to 3 business days?
Okay, it's see, to answer your question about income is income. What I'm seeing over here is that they have overlays, a lot of overlays, and heavy overlays.
Yes.
And
a lot.
Yeah, and it all, and I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna assume because I don't know the company, that it's a small company and they are afraid to lend, and they may be direct lenders, and then they are afraid of what about if the client doesn't make the payments and repayment. They have that in their head.
They're actually a really big known bank. So that's why I'm very shocked and surprised that that's the way they move forward, because everything has to be submitted through underwriting, and technically the way they say is that loan officers are there to just sell very basic information to the borrower, but that the one that does the final decision is the underwriter. So basically, like everything and all the information I know about structuring, like I said, DPAs, tax proration, etc., we can't do. Okay. It has to be the underwriter.
See, loans are loans. So if they have overlays, then that's another issue. Then you gotta follow them. If that's how they operate, you just gotta follow it. Yeah. And if you go to the selling guidelines, you can find them online. You can because income is income. There is no different formulas. A 1 is a 1. Okay. A 1 here in California is the same in New York, Florida. A 1 is a 1. Numbers are numbers. Fannie Mae.
So how can I move forward with giving great customer service for the borrower with these all overlays that I have? Because I know probably other loan officers are beating me. Yeah, there is the pre-approvals and everything.
You just gotta work with your. I mean, I don't. It's a really tough question. It's a really tough question because I don't like telling people to leave their companies. It's not my intention. Even though I'm hiring throughout the United States, but it's also your income, and also they gotta understand. See, that lender has to understand that you gotta make a living, that you gotta pay your bills, and that they gotta understand that somebody else is eating your lunch. Yeah. And then if it's not the right company for you, then you just it's this is how it's done. No hard feelings for anybody, hopefully, but that's how it is. I mean, you gotta pay your bills, right?
Correct. Yeah.
You don't.
So that's why I talked to my manager about, like, I gotta pay my bills. Like, why would I let the underwriter go in and structure my loan and see what options the borrower has? I think that's more of my responsibility because I'm the one selling the product. I should know what I'm doing, right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely,
structuring the loan. Like, I should be the one giving out all the information without having to wait for an underwriter. I
absolutely.
mean, unless I have a very difficult loan that
Hmm.
I maybe need a second opinion, then maybe I would feel comfortable. But when it's very simple loans, I think I should be able to
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead and proceed.
you should be able to do it all, and then, because that's your job. Imagine, no, no, no. You should be able to know your product, the way it's done, the way they use it. So in if they're not going to let you do that,
Yes,
then
correct.
then possibly you got to find another company. Even if
Okay.
you have overlays, 3 days is, see, forget about the market, because it's not the market. It's the way everything is now. Everything is so fast. Everybody's looking for
Agree.
the person that is doing it better and faster.
Correct.
There are people that are, you know how UWM, how fast they are. They're always working. If I'm giving CTCs in 7 days, and they're working on do it in 6 days, they're working on do it in 5 days, right?
Yeah. Yes.
3 days is not acceptable with any, not in these times right now. And forget about recession, market noise. That doesn't have to do anything with markets. It's the way the world is right now, is what it is.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And you should be able to start your file from start to end. And when it comes up with that, from underwriting, it should be the same, and everything should be the same, come out the same. Like when I say my files, most of the time, no conditions for myself, no PTDs for me.
Correct. Yeah, because I was used to submitting the file right away, giving them a pre-approval. I would have them shopping, and then I would submit it to underwriter so they could do approval with conditions. Basically, just the property information done, but all the documentation, everything, I would just submit it right away to just have it ready to move forward. Order appraisal, order everything that's like the final stuff.
Yeah, you should have a little more freedom, and then give you, so you can be faster, because
right now the only thing I can do right now, if I want to structure 3 different options or 3 different ways for the borrower, I technically have to put notes for the underwriter, so the underwriter can go in there and structure it and see if it works for any other option that I might have. Like the most difficult things, like down payment assistance programs, the underwriter has to structure it. If they have another program where they're helping borrowers with money for closing costs, I can't structure it with that kind of like money in there for closing costs. They have to structure it as well. So it has to get all the way to underwriting so that they can determine what other programs they qualify for.
Okay, so you know what? It's not a bad. It's not nothing wrong with that. It's just how they operate, how they do business. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that you don't align with the way they do business.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because, like you mentioned, we're very fast-paced right now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's putting out their bids, showing them pre-approval letters. I mean, at this point, I'm losing a lot of business. So.
And in my 90-day, I teach everybody to be independent. That's why you need to be. You cannot depend. If you want to grow your business to, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, whatever number, you gotta be independent. Independent means that you gotta learn how to do it all yourself without depending on someone. I gotta send this for approval before I can issue my pre-approval or whatever. No, it's to grow. It's tough. It's tough. Okay, so that let me see. So let me see. Somebody I do. And you know what? And we are hiring in most of the states. In most of the states, we are hiring with and just remotely. So many loan officers that work from home or remotely. So we are hiring remotely, and the support is there. The training, forget about the training. Oh my gosh, training it's amazing.
Thank you, Juan. I'll send you a message after class.
You're welcome. And also, but anybody else has any question? We're about to be done. Let me, Janine, you had a question. I didn't hear you. Something with the mic. So, please, what did you say? I didn't hear you before. I don't want to be disrespectful. I mean, I want to answer all the questions.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Perfect. I think it was because it was attached to my AirPods.
Oh, okay.
I was just answering your question when you had asked about experience with income.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about it? How are you understanding it?
I feel pretty good. Fortunately, my experience has been with self-employed borrowers mostly. So from the get-go, I was dealing with the difficult files, dealing with the different 1099s and putting everything together. So now the W-2s or the salary employees are pretty easy for me to do because I started kind of backwards.
Beautiful.
But I've only been doing this for a little less than a year, so there's a lot to learn, and in every file you learn something new.
You do. Sky's the limit. So beautiful. So Paul, how long you been in business, and how do you feel about calculating income? Do you understand? Okay, still didn't hear me. Okay, guys. So if you guys have any questions at all, send. Most of you guys have communicating with Danny. Send him an email. Communicate, through Facebook, through the group, and all the communication channels that we have. Our next class is going to be December 16, and it's going to be the last one until next year. It's going to be the 4th, and then I want to see if I can. We go a little bit about marketing. I want to go more in depth in marketing, because I see that a lot of you guys already understand. See, right now, everybody that joined this training should have an understanding of how to calculate income and how you do it. So now you gotta go out and get business, because nobody's gonna give you anything if you don't know how to calculate income. To tell the truth, you have no loan. Like, how can you issue a pre-approval letter? Or in Elizabeth's, somebody else doing it for her, but 3 days. Like in 3 days, you're ready. You can shop. They can shop you 100 times in 3 days. And then next training, the 16 loan. If you're a senior loan officer, you understand the income part. The business, and you're only producing 1, 2, 3. Even though the market was pretty good for loan officers, it was a market, and you didn't produce much, the next one's going to be for you. Okay? So I'll see you guys on the 16th. Email your questions, and please put a quick comment in Facebook and say how we're doing, and then let's keep learning together and ask the question. Write down your question for next week. See you guys. Enjoy.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.